Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Well, there is some interesting document that has been doing the round in Labour circles today, the last few days, and I know that both you, Robert, and I have got hold of it today. And what it shows is pressure on Jeremy Corbyn over Brexit from a trade union affiliated with the Labour Party. Let me show it to you. There is the document. So it was drawn up, or it appears to have been drawn up, by the TSSA Transport Union. It does have a momentum stamp on there, but apparently they didn't commission it. It has been sent to them. Now, this is full of lots of polling and focus groups, and its kind of headline finding is this, that if there was a snap election and Labour took a pro-Brexit policy into it, it would get a lower share of the vote in every seat in the country than if it took an anti-Brexit policy. This document basically says that Labour can't continue with the middle way on Brexit, although it does admit that either way is a bit of a lose-lose situation. So it basically says if Labour opposes Brexit, which is what the union appears to want, then they would lose an additional 11 seats. However, if they say they're going to implement Brexit, they could lose a further 45 seats. The document says that electorally, this will be as damaging to the party as the Iraq War and particularly bad for young people under the age of 35. It basically says it could be comparable to the effect that tuition fees had on Lib Dem support. Now, I've spoken to people in the Labour Party, a council leader, for example, in a Remain part of the country, who's very worried about this and wants a more robust stance on Brexit. But look, others say there is polling that does also show the opposite problem. Robert.
Thanks so much, Anushka. On to the paper that both Anushka and I got hold of today, prepared by the TSA, detailed polling by YouGov, then some very sophisticated analysis on the back of that, which shows in a pretty convincing way that Labour's electoral prospects would be significantly damaged if you are seen to be going along, actually, with any form of Brexit. Do you share that analysis?
Well, I've not seen that document, and in fact, I'd be grateful if you could email me a copy after the show, Robert.
Thrilled to do so.
I would find it very, very interesting. What I think this shows is that the country is divided, and that Labour has two challenges, really. We can't really be guided by just polls. The decision we make on Brexit, on Theresa May's deal, has to be based on what we think is in the interests of the country, and we have to balance that up by looking at our own internal democracy. You know, Jeremy and I were both elected to listen to our 500,000 members. We believe that they should be at the heart of decision-making. And it's pretty clear to me that the decision that they took at our conference, which was a sequence of events, needs to be looked at. First, we wanted a meaningful vote. We've had that and we lost it. We tried to trigger a general election with a no-confidence vote. We failed on that. The two other options were to look at other options and the prospect of a people's vote. We're now in a period in Parliament that is quite volatile and quite chaotic because Theresa May is restating the case for her plan, reaching out to party leaders and MPs, and I think we're duty-bound to look at that. And if that process fails, of course, the fourth trigger in our policy is a people's vote, but we're not there yet. And I know that's very frustrating.
You're not there, and well, it's frustrating for many of your members. The clock is ticking. I mean, the really striking thing that this document says is that if you end up not opposing Brexit, this could be worse for the Labour Party than the Iraq invasion.
Well, that's why I think I need to look at the document, and certainly if it's a significant document and it's valid, I think our shadow cabinet colleagues need to look at it. But we understand, and what that really reflects is that the country is divided, and our decision has to be you know, all of us taking individual decisions and collectively, and what do we think is in the best interest of the country?
But just to pick you up on one thing, though, you know, of course the country is split, but what appears to be now compelling evidence, not just from this research, but from lots of other research, is that Labour members are not divided. Every poll that I've seen recently shows that Labour members want the Labour Party to oppose Brexit. Jeremy Corbyn has for 30 years said that he is the kind of politician who wants his members to tell him what to do. And on this, he is not following the instructions of his members, is he?
Well, he would say that he is, and you know, we've got that compass policy.
How would he say that?
Well, because we had 100 delegates from 100 constituencies in the room, chaired by Keir Starmer. They took many hours to come to this position. There's a sequence of events which has been triggered. We were, frankly, rather surprised that Theresa May would, at the very last minute of these negotiations, try and attempt to reach out to other party leaders, and that's quite a volatile process because she seems to be changing her mind and her position keeps shifting. We're duty-bound to look at that, and I think voters, I think the country expects us to take those offers seriously, even if at the backs of our minds we've got this sense that she may just be running down the clock, that she might not be either realistic or being entirely honest with us about what her position is on this stuff. We're duty-bound to look at it, and that's what Jeremy did when he met Theresa May last week. There are, you know, ongoing talks on that. We know she's in Europe at the moment talking about her plan, and we need to see what she comes back with.
Tom, as ever, great talking to you, and we'll see you back here very soon, I hope.
Thank you very much.
All the best. So I'm going to pick up on some of that with Luciana Berger and Andrea Jenkins. Luciana, if I could start with you. Is Jeremy Corbyn listening to Labour members in taking the position he is currently on Brexit, which is, it appears, well, actually it's quite difficult to know what his position is.
Well, I'm very clear that we cannot be seen in any way, shape or form to be facilitating what is going to be a blindfold Brexit for our country. I was at that party conference that Tom referred to. I was in the room when Keir Starmer made his big speech and saw the standing ovation that went on for minutes.
But under that motion, should Jeremy Corbyn already have put the weight of the party behind a referendum?
Well, it's clear from the polling that we've just seen and heard about now that we're going to lose 45 seats if we don't get behind, if we don't do something to counter what is at the moment a damaging Brexit for our country. And if you're comparing the figures that we've just seen from Anushka, that, you know, we lose 11 seats if you don't back Brexit, 45 seats if we are seen to facilitate Brexit. But it's also what it's going to do for the communities that we all serve right across the country. I know in Liverpool, where we're going to be absolutely decimated if we proceed down this route. So it's looking at what's best for our country and also listening to what the majority of not only our members think. I mean, that's what the polling shows, but 83% of our members, you know, want us to be taking that position, but also what our voters and supporters think. And it's very, very clear that they don't want us backing Brexit.
Sadly, I'm going to have to break you off. Let's go back over to Anushka for some more on our exclusive story.
Thank you, Robert. Well, lots of reaction to those figures in that report on Twitter. I'm just going to show you one thing from pollster analyst Matt Singh. He says that the polling and modelling shows Brexit potentially could cost Labour more support than Iraq, but says, usual caveat, hypotheticals are very, very hard to poll accurately. So with the caveat in mind, I'm just going to show you one more tiny thing out of the document that's quite interesting. It talks about the idea of a centrist party. People here have suggested that this is the sort of thing that could happen, and it claims that 17% of Labour's 2017 voters would be very likely to support such a new party if it was against Brexit, 27% fairly likely. Those figures sound pretty high to me, but it says that even if a fraction of that went away from the party, it could be a real headache in marginal seats. Robert.
Thanks, Anushka. We haven't got a lot of time. I'm afraid, Luciana, I've got to put to you, since you've been associated with a breakaway party. True?
Well, I think what that poll highlights is that there's a disaffection with the lack of leadership that we're seeing on all sides. You know, politics at the moment isn't working. We've seen it, not just this poll, there's been so many other polls, one in the past week, that shows a level of discontent across the country, that people voted for all manners of...
People will hear that you haven't denied that there are circumstances that if Corbyn gets it wrong for you on Brexit, you would leave the party.
Well, I'm focused on Brexit. That's my responsibility as a constituency MP.
So you might?
Well, my focus very much is that, you know, it's not... There's many people that have many different challenges, not just on Brexit, in terms of, you know, seeing leadership from all the main political parties. Our politics at the moment looks very, very broken, and that's what we need to address.